Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to walk you through all of the features we shipped over the past month, some big and some small. Alright, let's get started. So the first big update we made was adding support for photos for preparing scope of work. So now you'll notice that when you select the Add Files button, you can upload not just plans, but plans and photos, or just photos alone. This is especially useful if you're at a client consult and you want to get a sense of the current conditions, typically in restoration projects. Also, maybe the client might have design choices that they want to, or design selections that they want to use. So you can upload images just like upload plans right here. So I've got a couple of images here. In this example, I've actually got a before and after image that kind of might show what the client wants to see in terms of the final finish of the kitchen, and then a current condition. So let's upload these two images. Now you can give in additional instructions if you want, but in this case I'm just going to go ahead and generate a scope of work. So you'll notice that the AI was able to detect the current condition of the kitchen. It's a 1980s style kitchen into a modern mid-century inspired dining and cooking space. It approximates the square footage and the size of the kitchen based on interpreting the image as well as the layout. And it's also able to approximate a number of different measurements for both cabinets, backsplash, as well as the flooring. You'll notice that it also is able to understand and interpret the type of finishes and fixtures and materials that are needed, everything from flooring to appliances as well as carpentry. So that's photo upload. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and hit next out here and wait for this estimate to get done. But in the meantime, we can move on to the next feature, which is purchase orders. Now let's talk about purchase orders. Purchase orders are useful if you want to track your scope of work as well as your committed costs with your subs and vendors. So now for every new project you create, you can create POs and send them to your subs and vendors, and they can review the work and approve it digitally, just like change orders and invoices. You can also track all approved and unapproved purchase orders in the PO list. So let's create a new PO. In this case, I'm going to create a PO for my electrical sub. I can select my sub or vendor from the list. I can add a scope of work if I want, but I can also select items directly from my budget so that there's a clean mapping between my estimate as well as the scope of work that I am expecting from my sub. And all the cost information that was in the estimate is also preset and pre-populated as you add these line items in. You can also create a custom item, or you can just select an entire category if you want. Once you've added the items, next you can drop in any attachments that might include the estimate, any files or photos. You can also add terms and conditions and notes. Now you can manually approve this PO on behalf of your sub or vendor. You can just preview and send this to your sub. Now once you send out this PO, your sub will receive the email. They can review the purchase order either as an attachment, or they can click the review and approve button and digitally sign and approve it. And once they've done that, you get notified via email, and you can also see that this PO status has now changed to approved. Finally, we have a handy way for you to just create a bill directly from a PO once that PO has been approved. So that's purchase orders. Next, let's talk about cost codes. Now, one of the features we've heard from customers is that they like our structure and our taxonomy for how we organize estimates. But in some cases, customers want to bring in their own cost codes. They may be NAHP cost codes or CSI, or maybe their own custom cost codes. So we've now made it really easy for you to bring in your own cost codes and have your estimates organized based on your structure. So first, you can either manually add cost codes directly into the table right here, or you can upload a CSV. So let me go ahead and upload one of the CSVs that I have in this list. So you can see that this is a list of cost codes. Now once you upload it, you click the Analyze button. You can also provide any additional instructions just in case your CSV may not be in the exact format that we may need. That's okay. Our AI will smartly figure out what are the category codes, the category names, item codes, and item names in that CSV. And so you can give it any additional instructions here. So I'm going to hit Analyze this data. A couple of seconds to analyze that file and extract all the information from the file. So you'll see here that we've found all the matching categories and items. And now you can import all 88 of these into our system. That's it. So that's as easy as that. Now, once you've imported these cost codes, any new estimates that you create will use this cost code structure for preparing any new estimates. So I've got an example estimate out here. You can see that this one is using the new format that's been uploaded. And so now you can stay consistent with your numbering and naming convention as you've used in other systems. So that's cost codes. Next, I want to talk about GC signatures. So one of the requests we've heard is that when our customers send out estimates to their clients, they want to have that counter signature on the estimate before they send it out. So we have added a new feature which allows you to add your own signature when sending estimates. Now you can either type in your signature or you can just use the mouse to digitally sign. But this signature will appear as your signature whenever you send out any estimate or change order or invoice. We've also added an optional title field, so you can have this title appear on the estimate when you send this out. So let me show you what this looks like. So let's go into one of the estimates that we have out here. Let's actually use this one. And I'm just going to resend this estimate to the client. So you'll notice that at the bottom of the estimate, before the client signs, there is the signature of the sender as well as their title. And when the client reviews this, they have the ability to also see that counter signature at the bottom once they've approved it. So as you scroll down this estimate, you'll notice that there's a signature of the sending GC or the employee of the firm, as well as the client signature. So that's GC signature. Next up, a couple of enhancements that we want to talk about. So one of the features that we've heard is when sending invoices to client, it's more convenient if you're able to select the budget category instead of having to select each individual item. So now when you're sending out an invoice or even a change order, you can just select the category, the budget category, directly from the drop down, and KonstructIQ will fill in the total for that category so you can invoice against categories. This makes it easier if you're doing milestone based billing and invoicing. Another feature that we've added that's related to how your contact information appears on estimates and change orders is the ability for you to toggle and choose between what contact information appears when sending out estimates or change orders. So as you know, whenever sending out an estimate, by default, your business name, your primary contact information, and your business email will appear on these estimates. But we do have cases where we want the contact information of the sender of the estimate to appear in the case where you have a firm with multiple employees and estimators and they want to send that information out. So now if you go over to the client view setting, there is a new setting called Sent by Contact Information. which allows you to choose between either having the contact information on estimates be the primary business information or the sender's account info. This way, if the client needs to respond or call, they can contact the appropriate person. What I want to talk about is additional support for version control. Now, if you are making edits to an estimate while you're sending them to your client, you can manually save these versions by using the Save Current Version option. So let's say I save this V1, and now as I make additional edits to this estimate, I may choose to save an additional version, let's say V2. Now, after multiple interactions, if you want to revert to the old version, you can just go to the View All Versions section. You can see a list of all the versions that you saved and edits that you've made. You can view the version that you want to restore and just click the Revert button, and this will restore the estimate to the version that you want. The next feature I want to talk about is engagement tracking. Now, this has been a highly requested feature. Engagement tracking allows you to know if your client or your sub has viewed or opened your emails. It's especially useful if you have sent out a bid maybe and you want to know if the client is interested. So let's take an example here. I've got this project in draft state, and I'm going to go ahead and send this out to the client. Now, you know that it's not been opened. You can see out here it shows the status has not opened by default. Now, the moment I receive this email as a client, the moment I open the email, the status is going to change back to open state. So let's go ahead and refresh this, and you'll notice that it's gone from not open to open state. If you hover over this icon, it tells you exactly when the client or the recipient opened the email. And then finally, once the client clicks on the estimate to review and approve it, that status is going to change to viewed. So now let's go ahead and refresh this page one more time, and you'll see that you also know when it was opened and when it was viewed. Now, this status also appears in the list view. So if you have invoices or change orders that you've sent out to clients, you can just quickly hover over this icon in the list view state and see when has the client opened it. So that's engagement tracking.